Buckle your seatbelts because things are about to get intense. I also have pastry. Probably the most important thing you need to manage over the course of a novel is the intensity of the narrative. Narrative intensity is an emergent property of a plot, a culmination of several different elements woven together to create the sort of emotional engagement that keeps readers hooked and keeps them flipping pages. Intensity arises out of conflict, out of stakes, character motivations, and also the pace of the story. Good novels both raise and lower the intensity deliberately throughout the story in order to maximize reader engagement. I'm probably going to cover intensity over a couple of different videos because it's such a broad topic, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of them. Today, we're mainly going to focus on the elements that are necessary to build narrative intensity and some of the ways you can build more of it into your story. Think of these as the things you need to have in order to have intensity in the first place. Let's start with the first one, curiosity, which I know you're dying to learn more about. You'll hear a lot of people talking about hooks, this idea that you need to grab the reader early on in the story in order to get them engaged. Intensity is impossible to build without an engaged reader, and the first step is to start getting them engaged, to get them hooked. The hook is fundamentally a curiosity-generating mechanism. It wants the reader to learn more about the characters or the setting, or to get some kind of question answered. If your story starts with a character dyeing their hair in a gas station bathroom and then buying a bus ticket to someplace far away, that's going to create curiosity in the reader, a desire to know more. The hook is the sort of gateway into your story. It's the initial questions that the reader has that lead them to continue on. Depending on who you talk to, the hook is either the first chapter, the first scene, the first paragraph, or the first sentence of your story. For people who take hooks extremely seriously, it often comes down to the first letter of your story. That's why you should never start with the letter E or the letter Y. On its own, the hook doesn't do anything to build intensity, but if you can't initially get the attention of the reader, then there's no hope of building intensity later on, so it is very much necessary. The next crucial element of intensity is compassion and caring. Wait, are all of these things going to start with C? That would be really convenient. Like Carl's 3 C's of literary intensity. Once you've gotten the reader curious, you need to make them care. You need the reader to make an emotional investment in your story. Usually this centers around your characters and their plight through the conflict of the story. After all, they're called characters for a reason. Your characters are going to have something at stake throughout the story, either something they could lose or something they could gain through the resolution of the conflict. Presumably, the characters care a great deal about getting this thing, whether it's winning the sports ball championship, finding love, or solving a grisly murder. And you need to create that same desire in the reader. The reader needs to care as much about the stakes as the character does. Making sure you have a likable protagonist is a crucial part of this. When people like other people, they generally want those people to succeed. Your character being a good person, whatever that means, will help here. Putting them against a more powerful opponent can also help. People love to cheer for underdogs. Proactive characters with a strong rooting motivation who are generally nice to other characters is a good way to make them more likable. Anti-heroes and other a-hole type protagonists can work, but you have to be more careful with these characters. Likeable characters who are pursuing good things for generally good reasons is sort of the standard way to make the reader care about the story. You can have anti-heroes pursuing less morally upstanding goals and still have readers invested. That's a little bit more complicated. But ultimately, if the reader cares about the outcome of the conflict, then they will not only continue reading, but also follow all of the ups and downs of intensity that go along with the story. Next up is uncertainty. Damn it, that doesn't start with C. Well, certainty starts with C. Maybe if I capitalize the C. Tension is a critical part of intensity. If intensity had an O in it, then it would literally contain the word tension. Tension fundamentally is about uncertainty. If you know for sure that something is going to happen, then there's no tension. Similarly, if you know it's not going to happen, then there's also no tension. If the sports ball team is losing by 2 points and there's 10 minutes left in the sports ball quarter, then there's a lot of tension because there's uncertainty about the outcome. It could go either way. Things are so close that they could lose or they could win. The outcome is still very uncertain. However, if the sports ball team is 10 points behind, then victory is so far away that there's no hope. Similarly, if they're 10 points ahead, then victory is assured and there's no tension. Certainty can come from either outcome, either certain victory or certain defeat. Either one will work to kill tension. What you want to do is have the right amount of uncertainty. Success can't be so far away that things are hopeless, but it also can't be too close or it will seem too easy. Just making it harder to achieve the goal is not necessarily going to build tension. You can go too far and end up destroying the tension. Now, a lot of stories do go down the road of hopelessness. This is the darkest hour part of a lot of plots where things seem like they will never be solved, where everything the heroes have tried has failed, where the villain just keeps getting stronger, that sort of thing. But these moments often have lower tension and lower intensity. The darkest hour often slows the story down, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it only picks back up. The intensity only rises again once something changes and hope is restored and the tension starts to build again. We'll talk more about raising and lowering tension in subsequent videos about intensity, but for now just understand that you have to be careful about moving too far towards certain defeat, because the more certain the reader becomes that the character is going to fail, the harder it can be to pull them out of it. Any solution that the character comes up with will seem unbelievable, unrealistic, and it will hurt the overall intensity of the story. So those are the three elements that make up intensity: hooking the reader, making them care about the story, then making them afraid about the things they care about. Now, actually managing intensity is a whole nother topic that we will get to in a later video, so make sure you stick around so you don't miss that one. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video and found the advice in it useful. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can check out all my other writing advice related videos and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.